Hello, welcome to this correction video for my original Black Myth Wukong Chinese versus English trailer. And I want to first say thank you so much for all of the people who have left a comment, and thank you so much for those who have corrected information about the trailer, about the mistakes I've made. Thank you so much for all of that, and thank you for taking the time to come from Bilibili to YouTube to comment, put a like on it, to subscribe on all of that stuff. Thank you so much. 谢谢大家来自 B 站的支持，非常非常的感谢。And you know, it's really great that you guys gave me so much information, and I've read through every single comment, I believe, and I learned so much about the story, and there are many parts I didn't know about. So I've written on a list of all of the things that I feel like it's the most important thing. And some of the topics may be too big for this video alone. So maybe in the future we'll do another video on those topics alone as a standalone video. And I did want to say also that I understand it's really tough to get the Chinese to translate into English. And I think the team did a admirable job. And I just wanted to help that process, especially for some of the more English-speaking folks who don't have as much cultural background or cultural understanding of how the Chinese mythologies and everything work. And even for myself, I don't know all of how it works. So it's a very big topic, but I thought the more we understand, the more we know, the more we'll get out of the game, right? The more we, as a player, put into the game, the more we get out of the game. It's really a great medium for that, because the more you put into it, the more you understand. It's like, oh, why is something like this? Why does this happen? Why does that happen? Why is the design of this particular object this way? With the cultural understanding, with the understanding of all of the background information, it helps explain a lot of that, and it makes our experience as game players better, right? So let's start with this guy right here. So in the video, in the original video, I mentioned future, right? Seeing the future and all of that, but a lot of folks mentioned that it's not just about the future, or not entirely about the future. It's about the future Buddha, who is Fu. He is the Buddha of the future, who is also the master of Huangmei, who is this monster right here. He became the false Buddha to pretend to be Fu, and he then calls himself future, right? So it makes sense, because you're the future Buddha, and asking Wukong to bow down before him, right? You've seen the Buddha, why don't you bow down? So that's what it means a little bit more accurately, so to speak. And also, I did want to mention, so if you know about Enligsh Dafu, apparently this Buddha is the future Buddha, is Fu. And I've been there myself, actually, just this year. So I've been there, I've taken this picture myself. So it's kind of interesting connection I did not expect. So yeah, that's kind of fun. And speaking of Huangmei, this character right here, he also, in the original story, traps Wukong inside this particular object here. So in the original video, I called this thing the lid of a Chinese alchemy pot, or Chinese alchemy kiln. So I thought it was like the lid of this thing, right? It could be one of these. It could look very, very fancy. And that's why I thought it was like that, and it's very fancy here, right? So it's got the handles and everything. I thought you should lift it off. But the comment I mentioned is actually part of the original story, where Huangmei traps Wukong inside a pair of jinnao, which is a traditional Chinese instrument. So you usually sort of slam them together to make a sound. And I thought it was just like it's part of the alchemy pot or alchemy kiln, in which he got his golden and fire eyes, that he can see all of the monsters, right? So he can see through the monsters and all that. But obviously that's not the case. And also, while we're here, I did want to talk about this here. So if we listen, let's play and let's listen very closely to the sound. Did you hear that knock? Let's listen again. So there's 3 knocks from what seems like inside the pair of jinnao. Maybe it's the player character get trapped in there again, which where he mentioned the cycles again, right? So in the he mentioned going into the cycle again, and this time you can. So 入了此番轮环, so we're in this cycle again. You probably won't get away so easily. Which is, maybe he got trapped in here. I didn't even hear this the first time around. And also, a lot of commenters did mention the idea of the real versus the fake Wukong. Right? There's a whole big story about how Wukong and Tang Song had a fight, and then Tang Song asked Wukong to leave, not in a very, very nice way, and Wukong did leave, and then he went somewhere we don't know about, and then another monkey showed up, and he was very nice. He was all about I think Sha Zeng went to find Wukong to ask him to come back, and then once he got to Huaguoshan, which is where Wukong originally lives, he finds Wukong, which he thought was real, but it's not the real Wukong, and he's completely changed his personality. And then the real Wukong comes back, drags the fake one up to Guanyin, and then the real Wukong kills the fake Wukong, and then everything goes back to normal, but he's changed quite a bit through the process. So then there's a lot of speculation about the real Wukong is dead, or the fake Wukong that's lived through, right? Which also connects to the story that this old monk or whoever this is telling about how, some say he never made it, right? Some say the fake one was the one that got the Buddhahood and all that stuff. So this is what that part was about. But that's a whole big thing. So maybe we'll make another video in the future just about this particular topic. And I think it has something to do with the Jungian concept of id, ego, and the super ego and all of that connection. But anyway, so we'll talk about that later. But here, yes, so the knock, either the player character is trapped in here, or the original Wukong maybe is still trapped in here after such a long time. Anyway, but it's hard to say. All right, so the other thing is the big mistakes I've made, I think, is the poem. So I want to talk about this poem here in the beginning. 世人都晓神仙好，唯有功名忘不了. Now this part, when I originally translated it, I made some mistakes of the translation, and there's a little bit more meaning to it than what I originally thought. And some of the commenters did mention a bunch of stuff. It's actually one of the most mentioned mistakes. So I do want to explain that. So the idea, I believe, is 世人都晓神仙好, right? Everybody, 世人, right? Everybody in the world knows how good the gods have it, right? The gods. And then it's not as simple as, say, just being gods and all that, but it's almost like in the Chinese mythology, anyone can become a god by or immortal by like training and doing good things, right? So it's almost like a sainthood in the Judeo-Christian religion. It also goes to talk about the 唯有功名忘不了. So I think what I meant for is for people who, everybody wants to become a god, not literally become God, but to be happy, but to be carefree, right? 逍遥, right? But then everybody wants to be happy, be carefree, to be quote unquote free, but yet everybody cannot forget to be 功名. 功名, maybe it's more than just fame or fortune or have your name written down in history. Maybe it's just like the normal human things, right? The things that we want, this 追求 here, right? Like just our desires, like things maybe we want to buy, right? A bigger house, a nicer clothes, or eat better food and all of that stuff. So wanting all of that stuff causes a lot of pain, right? So 痛苦, right? So a lot of pain. So here I've copied the explanation from somewhere else, meaning just all of the worldly wants and needs and all of that stuff is what's causing you problems, right? So it's a little bit like minimalist sort of ideals here. Just forget about all the things that you would need in this world. That's what's causing you pain, maybe. Right, so 世人都晓神仙好，唯有功名忘不了. And it's also part of a much longer poem here, coming from the Red House Dream or something like that. Right, it's another very, very, very famous Chinese novel. about a person. This comment here mentioned the main character in Hong Meng has something to do with rocks, but he's got like a piece of jade or something, right? And then the Wukong is born out of stone, so they both have something to do with a piece of rock, and then again, they're saying is just we, or rather anybody who wants to become a god, or who wants to get close to being a god, needs to be able to forget all of the worldly possessions, right? All of the families and the riches and the sexual pleasures and all of that stuff. You need to forget about it, right? But of course, it's extremely hard for people to forget about all of that stuff, right? We are human after all, so that's why the process of becoming God in Chinese mythology is so hard. So I think that's my understanding of it, but there's much more intricacies to it. There's a lot of stuff going on with the Chinese godhood and in the Chinese mythology, so there's a bunch of stuff there that I don't even fully understand. And then the next sentence here,
古今将相在何方？荒冢一堆，草没了。
right? So 古今将相在何方? I think when I originally explained the idea of xiang, so this is more like a high-ranking official, right? A high-ranking political figure, something like the prime minister or whatever it is, right? And then jiang obviously means the military commanders and the ones who fight really well, right? Jiang xiang. So these are important characters. So where are they now? Where do they go now? And then the next sentence. It means that whoever it is, right? 古今将相在何方? 古今将相. So that means all of the generals, the political figures, the people who are of great importance back in the day, where are they now? Nobody knows, because they've fallen into a grave, and then the grass has grown so tall to cover the graves that nobody cares about them. Nobody goes to clean up their grave. Nobody cares about them. It just fades into history, and that's what that is all about, just forgetting about. I think that was one of the big mistakes that I've made. And the next one is, I think, the white bones part, or one of these ones here, right? So the white bones, 白骨. My original interpretation of this was just somebody's dead, right? 白骨. You're dead, we become bones. But apparently, the real explanation is that the team, the game science team, the founding members, was working on another game called 斗战神, which is the god of war or something like that, which is what Sun Wukong was after he comes back from the journey to the west. And they were developing the game, and I think it was NetEase, right, that fired all of them or built a new team to make the game. So when they were fired, they were working on the white bone monster part, where they finished up that dungeon or instance, and then they were fired after that. So that's what they were referring to. So they were saying they didn't finish the previous game, so let's go again. 重走西游. So let's retell the story again. So just it's a little bit of an interesting history there. And it's interesting that they put that stuff in here to just like take a jab at at NetEase, I guess. Or is it? Or maybe somebody did die. But I don't know. It's hard to say until the game comes out. Oh, and then there's a little bit more in the trailer that I sort of misunderstood right here. So when they're saying, when the female monster was saying, 天命天命乖乖听老天命, so that part was okay, but then she says,
乖乖听老天命令，几个老不死，名字取得到怪传神。
几个老不死的名字起得到怪传神的. I thought this part she was referring to the gods in terms of the name, but actually not. I think what she was referring to is the name for Wukong, right? The destined one, Wukong. So Wu means to think about something, right? Kong means emptiness. But what emptiness also refers to, I think in the Buddhism or something, is the inside of a character. So Wukong is you think about yourself, think about within, and maybe that's what she was referring to in terms of the 传神, meaning conveying the feeling very well. Maybe that's what she meant when say Wukong. Say, oh yeah, that conveys the feeling pretty well. 几个老不死的 is a very derogatory way of saying old people, right? As in, why aren't you dead yet? I think we got that part, I believe. But the derogatory way of saying it is very important here.
成了神仙又如何？不是一样，打打杀杀，丑态百出吗？
Right, so here it says, 成了神仙又如何？不是一样，打打杀杀。
杀杀，丑态百出。
打打杀杀，丑态百出嘛。So in my original video, I think I explained this as them fighting each other, they're doing bad things, right? But there's a deeper meaning to that, that it reveals about themselves, within them, something ugly, something bad, something not that great, right? 丑态, right? Meaning ugly, doing bad things, right? 百出 means a lot. There's lots of ugly things they reveal about themselves, and that's for the gods, right? So that comes also to say, hey, you know what? So what if you're gods, right? You guys do the same thing that the mere mortals do. So what makes you guys better, right? And then what is the right thing to do, right? You can achieve godhood by being good or doing good things, or doing the right things. But then, what is the right thing? What is the good thing, right? And then also, many of the commenters have pointed out that the novel Journey to the West is also a criticism or satire on the idea of religion, or even perhaps the emperor, who in the Chinese history are appointed to rule by the gods, very similar to the Western royalty. And then say, oh, you know what? Who says you can be the emperor, right? Well, why do you get to be the emperor and not the other person? The gods, sure, but then how much better are they? What do they know, right? They do the same things, right? 丑态百出 for them as well. So what makes them better? I think that's the idea anyway, at least from what I understood. And also, I just want to mention that it's really hard to explain all of the deeper meanings behind each of the sentence, right? I think a lot of commenters also mentioned the idea of hyperlinks. So every sentence is a hyperlink to another story that are hundreds of pages of literature deep, right? Let's say just in the very beginning, the poem, the 4 sentences, there's much more to it. There's a lot more behind it, right? It links to a whole nother set of novel. So in order to understand that properly, then you got a whole another novel to read to understand. So it's very complicated, very complex set of cultural and history behind each of the sentence. So it's very, very hard to explain. And even for myself, I don't understand everything fully. So what I want to do is, having some background in Chinese, or having some understanding of Chinese history, mythology, and all of that, I hope to sort of bridge the gap between our friends in the West who may have a very little understanding of how the history and everything works. So we're not hoping to understand everything there is to understand about the history or the journey to the West or Wukong or anything like that. Understand in more than just the surface level. And that gives us some more better ability to enjoy the game, I think. Just like every game we play or every movie that we watch, the more you know about it, the better, the more you get out of it. So you understand the game or the movie better, and you will enjoy it a little bit more, and the game would mean a little bit more to you, right? Because everything, especially something like this, like Journey to the West, has such rich and long and deep history that are so beloved by so many in the world. There's a lot riding on the game too, and looking at the trailer, looking at the gameplay stuff, looking at the attitude of the developers, I do feel like they want to do something really good. They put in the effort. They really spend a lot of time. They obviously care about the story, care about how the story is being told, and that sort of inspired me to do the video to help. Let me, as a person, as a gamer, understand the history better, and that will help me enjoy the game better, and sharing it with others on YouTube, hoping that others will understand the game better, understand the Chinese history, the mythology, and all of that stuff. Then all of that together gives them a better experience when playing the game, and that's what it's all about. And of course, I haven't got everything right. I don't understand everything in here. There's a lot of stuff I don't know about. Like for example, who is this character, right? And then one of the commenters did share a video with me about this character, and again, I don't understand that. I haven't had the deep understanding of Journey to the West. I can't really say he's right or wrong. Right? So, I would love to know more about it, and I would love to see more about the game. And once we get closer to release date, I'm sure there will be more information coming out. And when that comes out, we'll do another video on it. And when the game comes out, then we'll do a bunch more videos on it, I think, just to enjoy the game, play the game. As someone, like, a lot of the commenters did ask, am I Chinese? What am I? I was born in China. I came to Canada about 20 or so years ago. So I got one foot on each side, so to speak. So that's what I'm hoping to be, like the bridge between the two cultures, and giving everybody on both sides more understanding of the other side, right? A lot of the Bilibili commenters come here, they're like, oh yeah, no, I learned a little bit about English. And then a lot of Western folks come here and say, hey, you know what, I learned a little bit about Chinese. And then that's what I hope to do here, and also for myself to learn a bit more. And all of the commenters, thank you all again for all the comments and the support. And I learned so much from reading all of the comments. And that's what I want to do. I want to hope to do that more, and then get better at it as well. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you for coming from Bilibili to support. 非常感谢，谢谢大家支持。And then I'll see you guys next time. Bye.